What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to another True Raider podcast. Now, I don't normally go live on Mondays, so let's see just how this pops off. It's all good. It's all good, man. I barely posted it in advance, but we are on the eve of the final cuts for the Las Vegas Raiders to come down to this 53-man roster, and that's going to be important, right? So I wanted to give out my final predictions of just who I think is going to end up making the team. So, we're going to go ahead and see how this goes because there was a lot of good things that we got to see throughout this offseason, man. A lot of good things that, I'd like to see from some of our third and fourth string guys. There's also a couple of things that I wasn't really so sure about when it came to, our quarterback room and some of the guys that I kind of thought were going to be a lock. I'm just trying to get this out real quick, man, because that's just kind of how you got to do it when you got a small page. And I'm just trying to get out there, man. To just give me a 1 second. I'm gonna get this going. So I did a breakdown, man, and then all of a sudden all this news started coming in of all these cuts that were being made, right? And it's like, all right, well, let's see, if I missed on any. And so far, it doesn't really look like I missed on any. Anthony, salute. What's up, man? Welcome. Glad you made it, man. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of time tonight either, so I'm just gonna kind of jump into it. So uh I didn't really take the time to put in a bunch of pictures and get all fancy with it. I just numbered them, man, started with QB and worked my way down, right? And so for a quarterback room, right, we already know that we got Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew has been named QB1. I don't necessarily feel like he really won the job as much as Aiden O'Connell definitely did not give reason for him to be the one to have the job. And so Gardner Minshew was named QB1, and then Aiden O'Connell was named QB2. So neither of them played in that final preseason game against the 49ers. And part of that, man, we had Carter Bradley and Nathan Peterson in there to just try kind of see, what we have in them and potentially a battle out for QB3. And here on my, on my prediction, I didn't put us carrying a quarterback 3 for the 53-man roster. And the reason for that is because, there's a new rule that you can activate a quarterback from your practice squad the day of the game, right? And so if we go ahead and put some guys, on this practice squad, some of these quarterbacks, Carter Bradley, Nathan Peterman on this practice squad, then I don't think that another team is going to come in and poach them and pick them up. So I think that we'll be pretty secure with them being on our practice squad. That way, if it comes down to it, somebody gets hurt, we could go ahead and activate one of these guys. Now, I know most of the projections that are going out there show us carrying 3 quarterbacks, but it was really hard to choose, man. We had a lot of good guys on this roster, and it was really hard to kind of narrow it down, man. Um, let's see. Anthony, man, same. I don't have confidence in Minshew, but I have confidence in the Raiders, and AP knows what he's doing. And really what it comes down to is like I think Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. I just really didn't see everything that I would have wanted to see in preseason, but there was also a lot of missing pieces, and I have a feeling that it's actually going to translate, man. And I think that we're going to be able to be um, okay, man. I'm not too worried about it, honestly. Billy Davis, salute. What's up? So yeah, I just put the 2 quarterbacks, and then when we jump into the running back position, we got Zamir White. He's going to be our running back 1. Alexander Madison is definitely going to be our running back 2. Now, we didn't really get to see a whole lot of flashes from them in preseason, and while that kind of sucked, mostly it was because we were passing the ball way more times than what we're going to see us passing in the regular season. And it was really to get a good feel of what's going on with Gardner Minshew, what's going on with Aiden O'Connell. So these 2 running backs really didn't get those kind of reps in the preseason. So I'm not too worried about what that's going to look like. Didn't have these huge breakout runs and all this stuff, and I don't think that was their goal. I really think that their goal in the preseason was just to, go ahead and get on the field, get some reps, take some real life hits, get used to that whole dynamic of the game against another team, and then just kind of go from there, man. So I'm not really too worried about that at the moment. So then coming in running back three, I have Amir Abdullah. Now, Amir Abdullah, he's a special teams ace. He's definitely doing good as a running back three, third down back, all those kind of things. And really, I was predicting that Dylan Laube was going to, maybe take over that position by the end of the year. And he still could. But right now, Dylan Laube really did not show the kind of things that I really wanted to see out of him in preseason. I know that the majority of the reps that he got, we're rolling with like, third and fourth string guys. We did not have our starting offensive line when Dylan Laube was out there. So, I don't think it really translates fully. So we'll get to see what that really looks like with Dylan Laube moving forward. Honestly, I still like the kid, man. I still think that he's going to be, a hell of an asset to this team, and I'm really glad that we picked him up. Then Davante Adams, right? Davante Adams is our wide receiver one, and despite the fact that he keeps on saying that he wants to be a Raider and that he is not going anywhere, the media just has to just harp on it and harp on it and harp on it, right? And geez, I'm forgetting his name right now. I want to say it's Calvin Johnson. Geez, I'm blanking out, right? But I'm not even tripping about all that, right? Because I don't even want to give it the time of day. But basically, he went on the air saying that, Davante told him he's not happy and blah, blah, blah. And like, okay, yeah, sure. He's not going to be happy. He had Aaron Rodgers and he didn't want to be with Jordan Love. And so he went to go play with Derek Carr. Derek Carr didn't even make it a full season. And then he's just had a quarterback carousel between Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. It's like, yeah, of course. Why would he be happy about that, right? That doesn't mean, oh, I'm unhappy, I'm demanding a trade. No. That just is like, hey, man, like I'm not happy that I don't have consistency at quarterback. And of course he wants that, right? But we got Jakobi Meyers, right? Jakobi Meyers, solid wide receiver two. This dude is super underrated. I think that he actually has a good chance of going for 1,000 yards this year. But with the addition of some of these guys that are on this roster, I don't know that there's enough football to get passed around, especially from the likes of Gardner Minshew, to really get the appropriate yards to some of these receivers, right? Because Davante Adams, he's going to go for over 1,000 yards. Jakobi Meyers is going to do great. And then, I also got Trey Tucker on here, and this isn't no particular order necessarily. I just kind of put them in there, the ones that I believe will make the final 53-man roster. But we got Trey Tucker. He's a lock to make it. He's been showing us a lot of good things in the offseason and preseason. And really, I think that he's going to be a future staple of this team. I'm really glad that we have him. We won that trade hands down. Darren Waller goes to the Giants. We get the third round 100th pick. We pick up Trey Tucker with that. I am not upset about that trade at all. Then we got DJ Turner. Now, DJ Turner last year was mostly just a special teams guy, but he's really making an argument for him working his way into the receiving core. And so I honestly believe DJ Turner is going to get a lot of reps, not only in special teams, but also as a wide receiver. And then, this is one of the spots where I saw a lot of other predictions for 53-man rosters didn't have these guys. And I thought it was kind of weird, right? Because Tyreek McAllister made a huge case to keep him, right? I mean, came from the UFL. He was a special teams ace out there. He returned a punt return for a touchdown against the 49ers, and then followed that up with a touchdown, a receiving touchdown shortly after. If we put this guy on our practice squad, somebody is going to snag him up, and I say we take him. I say we keep him. So I believe that we're going to go ahead and he's going to make the 53-man roster, and that would be 5 wide receivers. But honestly, I think that we're going to go with depth when it comes to our receiving room. And so I also believe that Christian Wilkerson is going to make that 53 man roster. He did a lot of good things in camp. He did look good in the preseason. They've been saying a lot of good things about him. And so we're going to see what that really looks like, man. Anthony, I love Devontae, but would he really want to be with Minshew instead of Jordan Love? He most definitely shocked me last year, bro. Jordan Love is a complete young dog. Yeah, Jordan Love is looking a lot better than I think a lot of people really thought, and he's definitely looking better than what I think Devontae Adams thought. So there might be a little bit of regrets or whatever, but I think that he made his decision, and I think he's going to stick with it. I got no worries that he's going to try to force his way off the team. So then in the tight end room, this is also somewhere where I feel like I went different because of the system that we're going to be running. We're talking about 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, and there's a lot of different plays that Luke Getsy runs where 3 tight ends are out there, right? And so because of that, we're going to have Brock Bowers, of course. He's our, number 1 pick this year. And then Michael Mayer, who was a second round pick last year. They're a lock for sure. They're going to be tight end 1 and 2. I think Bowers will play in the slot a little bit, and they're going to rotate some guys. I still think we're going to keep all them receivers, even though we're going to use Brock Bowers in that way. But then we're going to have Harrison Bryant. Harrison Bryant looked really good in preseason. He didn't even play in that last game. He's going to be a lock to make it for sure. And then I have a feeling that we're going to roll with 4 tight ends, and we're going to end up getting Cole Fotheringham. Now, Cole Fotheringham, I've always been surprised that he doesn't make the 53-man roster. He always ends up on our practice squad because every preseason, this dude is like making plays, and he just looks really solid. You hear solid things about him out of camp. And it's just shocking to me that he doesn't end up on the 53-man roster. And I just have this feeling this year that he's going to have worked his way in, man. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. And, screenshot this if you want, blow me up after tomorrow because they're announcing the final cuts tomorrow by 4 p.m. Eastern time. So, we'll see how that looks, man. And then our offensive line, of course, we got Colton Miller. That one's a no-brainer. He's back from injury, so that's really good. Jackson Powers Johnson is no longer wearing a red shirt, but I don't know. There's conflicting things Antonio Pierce said that he's not expected to start week 1. It'll probably take a couple weeks, and then he kind of went back on that and was like talking like he was hoping that he's going to be ready to go by week 1. So we'll really see what that looks like. He's either going to, be our starting left guard, or he'll, come in later in the season. Andre James under center, at center, and Dylan Parham has been moved to right guard. Then we got Thayer Mumford and DJ Glaze. Those guys are really having a battle out for right tackle. I have a feeling that we're going to roll forward with Thayer Mumford, but I would not be surprised if DJ Glaze ends up winning that role at some point. So keep an eye out for that one. And then, Cody Whitehair, he's projected to start at left guard until Jackson Powers Johnson is healthy. And then Jordan Meredith, man. Jordan Meredith really looked good in preseason. They're saying good things out of camp. And so, I believe he's going to make this roster. And honestly, at first, I did not include Andres Pete. Andres Pete is a left tackle and left guard. He came over from the Saints. And there's a reason why they cut him, man. Jeffrey, welcome, man. Glad you made it, man. What's up? Honestly, I don't see Tom Telesco making this trade, and I don't know that I would either. It would really have to depend on what's the cost, man. And so, I don't right now, I don't see us doing any kind of moves like that, man. Let me see. Where was I? Oh yeah, Andres Pete. Andres Pete has just been getting beat, right? Pete is getting beat. But yeah, I mean, there were so many times like that sack that Aiden O'Connell took in the first game. Andres Pete just got straight up clobbered, and there was a lot of reps that you just see him getting beat at left tackle. And so I really don't want Andres Pete to be playing left tackle, but I have a feeling that we're going to go ahead and keep him. That way we have more depth on this offensive line. But if any of these offensive linemen do get cut, I believe it would be Andres Pete. But right now, with Colton Miller just coming back from shoulder surgery and then Jackson Powers Johnson with potential concussion issues and things, I have a feeling that we're going to need to have that depth out there, you know. But if anything, maybe he hits the practice squad. We'll see how that kind of plays out. And then on to the defense. So this defense, man, this was like where some of the hardest decisions were, man. You know, it was really hard to narrow this down, and I really liked the depth that I saw, especially in this last game against the 49ers, where we had no starters out there. And it was just all these guys that were out here battling for a roster spot, man. And, you know, a lot of them really showed out in a big way, man. So definitely we're going to have Max Crosby. That one's a no-brainer. Then we're going to have Christian Wilkins. We just signed him to a huge deal, which a lot of people are, you know, because he became a Raider, they're like, oh, no, that was an awful deal. But if he had signed that deal anywhere else, they would have been applauding that team. So I'm not even tripping on that. We got Christian Wilkins. I'm pumped about this. Then we got John Jenkins. He's getting a little bit older, but, you know, right now he's listed as being our starting defensive tackle next to Christian Wilkins. And then Adam Butler, man. Adam Butler is really – he had 6 sacks last year. He's talking about wanting to be in the conversation when they're talking about Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz. He wants to be in that conversation. And so he's got that drive, and I believe that he's going to follow it with the effort. And then we got Malcolm Kuntz, who had a breakout year last year. He had 8 sacks in 8 games, man, and just he showed out, and I really hope that translates into the season. And then we got Tyree Wilson, right? And I have him listed as an edge / tackle because I have a feeling that he's more going to be playing at tackle, but I think they'll move him around a little bit. But Tyree Wilson is looking slow in preseason. I don't think his development is catching up to the expectation, nor is it, you know, catching up to where he was drafted. So I'm getting kind of concerned with Tyree Wilson right now. There's like some speculation. I think it was Vic Tafer that was talking about that we should trade him. But I think that would be a bad play. You know, I don't think that we could get a whole lot for him. And I think that we stand a better chance of seeing how he develops over this season than trying to trade him off and really getting nothing in return. You know, and then this was kind of hard, right? Because I didn't really know how much depth we were going to go at defensive tackle. But I believe we're going to keep Matthew Butler. And if anybody does not make this roster at defensive tackle, I think we're looking at Nesta Jade Silvera. He's also dealing with an injury issue right now where he might end up being put on IR, which, you know, is best case scenario if he's not going on this 53-man, because then other teams can't pick him up and we can kind of just tuck him away on the injured reserve list. So keep an eye out for that because I have a feeling that that's going to happen. Janarius Robertson, defensive end. He's looking good. He's a backup to, you know, the thing that gets me about this guy is that he had, right after we signed him, like he had some off the field issues, and it was just kind of like, why are we keeping him on our roster? You know, you got a DUI right after signing, and it was just, I didn't like how that played out. And so I don't know what's happening off the field and things like that when it comes to the locker room and Antonio Pierce, but there's a reason why they're keeping him around. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. But right now, I think he's locked to make this team. He didn't play in that last game. Right? Damn. Well, if I'm wrong about that, correct me in the chat, man, because I could be. You know, and then another defensive end I see us keeping is going to be Snowden, man. Snowden is he's 6'6", man. He was looking good in preseason, and I have a feeling that we're going to go ahead and keep Charles Snowden. especially if there's some concern about Janarius Robinson and his off the field stuff, but also because Tyree Wilson isn't necessarily going to be an edge. I think that he's going to lean more towards tackle. And I think that, just to go ahead and hold four edge rushers, I think Charles Snowden is going to make the cut. You guys let me know what you think. Also, Smith looked pretty good, but I think Snowden's going to get it over Smith. And then at linebacker, we actually have some tough decisions at linebacker, but Divine Diablo, he's in a contract year. Then we got Robert Spillane, who's going to be our guy moving forward. Luke Masterson did not play in that last game against the 49ers. So that pretty much tells me he's going to be a lock to make the team. But Amari Gainer, he's the guy to watch out for. There's a lot of rumors kind of floating around that Amari Gainer might be that dude to go ahead and replace Divine Diablo. I mean, what did he have? 13 tackles against the 49ers? He's looking real good in preseason. There's a lot of good reports coming out of camp about him. Amari Gainer is going to be a lock. I'll be super shocked if we do not sign Amari Gainer to a 53-man roster, because if we try to put him on the practice squad, somebody is guaranteed going to swoop in and come get him. And then Tommy Eichenberg. We haven't seen anything out of Tommy Eichenberg. We just drafted him. I want to say he was the 5th round. He might have been 5th. Dang, my mind is slipping right now, man. You guys gotta call me on my shit. But basically, Tommy Eichenberg, it sounded really promising with him coming into the draft, but he has been MIA. I guess he's having some kind of off the field issue. What it sounds like some kind of family thing, but I'm not really sure exactly what's going on with Tommy. And they haven't really said exactly what it is. So I don't know when he's actually going to be able to see the field, because he really didn't get a whole lot of reps. He got 0 preseason reps, and so I think he's gonna, go ahead and make the 53 man. But I think that it's gonna be a minute until we actually see him play. And then I think that there's a reason why we didn't sign a cornerback. And maybe we still do, but I have a feeling that Jack Jones is definitely proven he's that guy. And then Jacorian Bennett. There's a lot of rumors coming out of camp that Jacorian Bennett might end up being our best corner moving forward, right? And I don't know how true that is or what. All I know is that he's looking good in the preseason. He looks to be cleaning up a lot of his mistakes. Looked great against the Niners, and yeah, it's gonna be Jack Jones, Jacorian Bennett on the outsides, and then we got Nate Hobbs in the slot. Nate Hobbs, we already know who he is. There's no questions there. And then I have us keeping MJ Devonshire. We just drafted him. I believe he was a 7th rounder. He had a lot of promising reports coming out of camp. He looked really good in college for Notre Dame, but in the preseason, he did not really look that great. But he's another one of those guys that if he hits the practice squad, we're going to lose him, And so when I was looking at our cornerback room, I don't think that we're going to keep Brandon Faison. Brandon Faison, we signed him, and he didn't he was injured, right? He didn't play at all last year. And so since he didn't play last year, we didn't really get to see too much of him at all. And then he still hasn't been participating in camp and wasn't in preseason games because I don't know what's going on with his injury. So we're either going to put him on IR, or more than likely, I think that he's going to get cut, because if we cut him, we're going to ultimately save $2 million, right? Over $2 million is what we'll save. And so I'm pretty confident that Brandon Faison is not going to be a Raider, unless we put him on the IR. But I think that that's expensive. It's expensive to put him on the IR, so I kind of doubt that. And then we got Decamerion Richardson. We just picked him up. I believe he was also a 7th round pick. There's good things that they were saying in camp, but it really didn't look super great when we got out to preseason. But also, these guys are seventh round picks. They're developmental, and I think that they're guys that we're going to want on this team. Richardson has the measurables that, it's desired for a corner. So I believe he's going to go ahead and make this team. I didn't see a single, I don't think that Sam Webb is going to make it over him. I don't think Brandon Faison's going to make it over him. I don't think Armstrong's going to make it over him. So I believe it's going to be Decameron Richardson, man. I think we're going to keep our rookie. And then our safety room, man. So our safety room is looking different than I thought. Marcus Epps, definitely him and Trayvon Merrick are going to be our starters. And then Isaiah Paul-Mal, he's definitely going to make the roster. And there's also conversation about him being safety / slot corner. So if Nate Hobbs goes down, Paul-Mal is going to be the guy to step in for him. So he's definitely going to make this roster. And then Chris Smith, right? I have a feeling that Chris Smith, he did get a pick. It was off a deflection. I believe Sam Webb had the deflection actually. And then, Chris Smith dove, got the interception. He was a 4th round pick. He looked really good. I want to say he was a 4th round pick, man. I believe he was a 4th round pick under Josh McDaniels. He looked really good in college. He really has not gotten a lot of reps in the NFL, and it hasn't looked too promising for him, but I have a feeling that he's going to go ahead and make our 53 along with Jaden Grant. Jaden Grant did look good in preseason. And the reason I put Jaden Grant here instead of Trey Taylor is that Trey Taylor is dealing with I believe it's a knee injury, and so he's going to be placed on IR. And that way we can tuck him away. He doesn't end up hitting waivers and signing with another team, but it looks like he's going to go into surgery and that he is not going to play at all this year. So all that stuff with the Kermit, the frog puppet, and all that, he doesn't even get a chance to get out there and prove it on the field this year. But I definitely think he's worth holding on to. And then we have the obvious Daniel Carlson, AJ Cole, and Jacob Bobenmeyer for our special teams unit. And David Agoa, defensive end. He's the international pathway player, so we get to hold 54 people on the roster. And so on that, was there anybody that you guys saw that was like maybe a surprise to you? Disagreements? Let me know what's going on. I do see. Wu Governor, he was already cut today. I did see a report that was talking about that the players that were cut already immediately are guys that they're probably trying to make sure that they can get on a practice squad. But Wu Governor was already cut today, and I have a feeling that another team's going to pick him up on waivers. I just think that we have a lot of good depth, and I like what it looks like. Let's see. You think Divine Diablo would be better at safety? So if I understand correctly, Divine Diablo was a safety that they turned into a hybrid linebacker, and then they converted him over to linebacker. There's a lot of things that Divine Diablo, if he doesn't really clean up, Amari Gainer is going to come in and take his job. I see it coming already. And then Bennett, he has a lot of potential. And then, so I was watching this live, man, and they were talking about Jacorian Bennett. And, I thought, like, okay, we drafted him and he was a speedster. And they said that he ran a 4.5 40-yard dash. All right. And I haven't looked this up myself, so don't quote me on this. But if that's the case, he's not quite the speedster that I really thought. But I do the sticky and coverage, man. He looks really good out there. He's got good instincts. He's got good football IQ. So I definitely think he's good. A good asset for our team, man. So yeah, I believe Bennett will make the team. Chris Smith, yeah, he impressed me as well. I think Chris Smith's going to do it. You might be right with Nathan Peterman making the team. I also wouldn't be too shocked if they chose Carter Bradley, but on this 53 man, I was having a hard time selecting people, and I decided to go ahead and only roll with two quarterbacks because of the new rule where on game day you can pull a quarterback from your practice squad and activate them. And so if that's the case, then why not just sit these two quarterbacks on the practice squad? Because even if one of them signs somewhere, I don't think both of them would. So I think that we'd still have a quarterback in our practice squad that we can activate if something goes wrong, right? So I think that we're all honestly going to keep two. I could be very wrong about that. We'll find out tomorrow, right? So light me up about that. And then the people that I had listed for our practice squad, and then I got to roll out after this. But so our practice squad, um, I had us with keeping Carter Bradley. We can keep 17 for the practice squad. So Carter Bradley, Nathan Peterman, Britton Brown, Sincere McCormick, Will Putnam, Dalton Wagner, Sam Webb, Amari Burney. Now, Amari Burney is, from my understanding, I think he's also dealing with an injury, but I'm not really sure about that. And that one's a difficult one, but I would take Amari Gaynor over Amari Burney any day. And so, yeah, I think that he's going to be the one to hit the practice squad. Zach Gentry, tight end, Trey Taylor, who's on IR, or he's going to hit IR. Ramel Keaton. Ramel Keaton flashed a lot of good plays against the 49ers, but there was also a lot of mistakes in there. You know, there was that one where they threw it up in the end zone and he didn't even fight for it, and I think he could have, you know. So there was mistakes, but there was also really big catches by him. Jalen Guyton looked good, but, you know, I don't think we're going to have a wide receiver wearing Derek Carr's old number, for one. But also, I just don't think that he was better than Wilkerson or McAllister. So, you know, I think that he's going to hit practice squad. Also, Byron Young. Byron Young was a third round pick under McDaniels, and he just really has not showed out. He had 0 stats in the first 2 preseason games. Despite playing a lot of snaps, he had 0 stats. And then on this one, I think he had like 3 tackles. He had 1 sack, which was, you know, I think if any other quarterback was in, he would not have gotten that sack, but he still got it. But I do not see him making this roster. We got too much depth at defensive tackle. Ellerson Smith, he looked good at defensive end. I think that we'll try to put him on the practice squad. And then Jaquan Shepard. Jaquan Shepard is one of the guys that, you know, he's a UDFA, and from my understanding, we signed him to a really big UDFA deal. But when it all comes down to it, I don't think he's going to make this. I don't think he's going to make the 53 man. And so hopefully we're able to get him in the practice squad. And then we got Brandon Faison, who, you know, we've seen none of since we signed him because of injury. And then John Schenker, tight end. So, you know, that really wraps up what I had today. You know, I'm about to be going out of town, man. I'm going on a trip to the East Coast, man. And, you know, I'm straight up, man. I gotta go play with my kid, man. That's what it's all about for me. But, you know, because we have the roster cut down tomorrow, I definitely want to jump on with you guys and put this video out. So definitely, I love you, nation. We'll see how it goes, man. I might be live tomorrow for the Talk About Raiders Tuesday, but I got a lot of things going on. You know, I'm flying out Wednesday, and so I might not be on until next week. But like always, I love you, nation, and I'll see you on the next one.